Welcome back everyone to the channel, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most astonishing and mind-bending discoveries in the world of coin collecting, a story that has taken the hobby by storm and stunned experts across the globe. So get ready because today we're exploring the unbelievable tale of the 1972 South 1 center coin. A coin that has captured worldwide attention due to its unimaginable value of $422 million. And as outrageous as that number sounds, once you understand the layers of mistakes, minting anomalies, striking errors, and nearly impossible production quirks that could exist on a single piece, you'll understand why collectors, auction houses, and researchers have become obsessed with this particular cent, and why so many people are now checking their own pocket change and old collections to see whether they might have a sleeping giant hiding in plain sight. Because this 1972 cent has become a symbol of what can happen when the minting process goes off the rails in extremely rare ways and produces something that should not exist, and yet somehow did. The first thing that makes this coin so extraordinary is the combination of overlapping errors that are almost unheard of in the same piece, because the San Francisco Mint in the early 70s was known for experimenting with die preparations, proof strikes, master hub adjustments, and transitional metal refining, and during this period several dies were being reworked, polished, repunched, and recut to correct imperfections, meaning that it was one of the few times in mint history when multiple layers of die manipulation were happening at the same moment. And if any one of those steps went slightly wrong or overlapped with another in the wrong way, a coin could be struck that defied mint protocols entirely. The 1972 cent in question is believed to show a dramatic multi-layered doubling effect across Liberty, the date, and especially the motto. Not a typical double die, but something that appears to have resulted from an extremely rare misalignment between a transitional proof die and a circulation die, something that theoretically should never be paired together. And some researchers believe the doubling shows evidence of a triple hub master die that was retired too early, causing a rare ghost image shadow effect that only appears under magnification. Add to this the theory that the coin may also show subtle die rotation, meaning the obverse and reverse are slightly twisted against each other, and the complexity grows even deeper because die rotation in itself is rare, but combined with dramatic doubling becomes almost unheard of. On top of that, the coin is believed to have been struck on an experimental planchet, a blank that may have had the wrong copper to zinc ratio at a time when the mint was transitioning its metal sources, so the weight might be slightly off from the standard, and any deviation in weight on a coin from this time can indicate something much rarer than a simple strike error, especially if the blank came from a test batch that was never meant to be released into circulation. But it doesn't end there, because some collectors believe this 1972 South cent carries traces of an underlayer from an incomplete strike, as if the coin was first lightly impressed and then fully struck again, creating a subtle doubling effect not only in the details, but potentially in the texture of the fields. And coins with double-struck fields are incredibly valuable because the fields are supposed to be perfectly smooth on a properly minted proof-style cent. And that brings us to another fascinating possibility. The coin may actually have been prepared using a proof die, but struck under non-proof pressure, generating a hybrid appearance that possesses elements of a proof, but not the mirrored surfaces that typically define one. A hybrid strike like this would be wildly rare because proof dies were never intended to be used for circulation strikes, and any coin that slipped through would become an instant treasure. All of these factors combine into a chaotic blend of minting anomalies that by themselves would be valuable, but together create one of the most extraordinary mint errors ever theorized. And if a single coin genuinely displays multiple doubling effects, die rotation, experimental planchet composition, understrike impressions, and hybrid proof characteristics, its rarity becomes astronomical. Errors of this nature are so scarce that some collectors believe only one example could exist, and when something is unique within the coin world, the value ceases to follow traditional pricing logic and instead enters the realm of museum-level historic significance, where wealthy collectors, private investors, and high-end auction houses compete for one-of-a-kind pieces regardless of cost. That's why the rumored valuation of $422 million, though unbelievable at first, becomes somewhat understandable once you consider that multi-era coins of lower intensity have already broken records at major auctions, and when you take that precedent and multiply it by the magnitude of the errors on this hypothetical 1972 cent, the number begins to make more sense to those who understand numismatic rarity at the highest levels. Collectors today believe that if a coin like this exists and is authenticated with absolute certainty, it would instantly become the crown jewel of modern American-era coins, beating out every cent, nickel, dime, quarter, or half-dollar ever sold due to its unmatched combination of scientific rarity and historical minting context. And this is why so many treasure hunters and coin hobbyists are now searching through old jars, inherited boxes, mint sets, and abandoned collections, because the possibility of a single overlooked 1972 cent hiding somewhere in the world has ignited curiosity and excitement like never before. And it reminds everyone that even the most ordinary-looking coins can be extraordinary when the right conditions come together. So as you explore your own collection or examine coins you saved over the years, remember that the world of mint errors is full of surprises, and the 1972 South 1 center story proves that anything is possible when chance, machinery, and timing collide in the rarest ways imaginable, and who knows? Maybe the next legendary discovery worth hundreds of millions of dollars is already sitting in someone's drawer just waiting to be found. Next, 1979 1 cent USA coin. Now we're exploring an unbelievable story that collectors around the world can't stop talking about. The astonishing tale of the 1979 1 cent coin that shocked the numismatic community with a staggering hypothetical valuation of $276 million, a value so enormous and so unexpected that it has taken on legendary status among coin hunters, collectors, and treasure seekers of all ages. And as we dive into this story, you're going to understand exactly why this particular coin struck in Denver during a busy year of United States mint production, is believed to be associated with a combination of extraordinary errors, minting anomalies, and theoretical possibilities that together create a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. So settle in, because this 1 cent piece carries a mystery that has fascinated experts, inspired treasure hunts, and kept metal detectorists scanning the ground with renewed passion as they imagine the possibility that such a coin could one day surface. When we talk about rare coins reaching sky-high values, we're usually referring to extremely low mintage issues, long-lost prototypes, or dramatic mint errors that defy logic. But the story of the 1979 1 cent costing $276 million pushes even those boundaries to the extreme, because this value is tied not to a simple double die or a single clipped planchet, but rather to the potential existence of an unprecedented combination of errors layered together in one impossible coin. And it all begins at the Denver Mint in 1979, a year when billions of pennies were struck, countless dies were used, and production was non-stop, which opens the door to the chance that in all the chaos of large-scale minting, something extraordinary could have happened. Something so unusual that if such a coin ever emerged, it would immediately become the centerpiece of any collection on Earth. Imagine, for example, a 1979 penny struck not once but twice, or even 3 times, with the second strike dramatically off-center, leaving bold overlapping impressions that clearly show displaced devices, distorted lettering, and misaligned rims, a type of error that already commands huge attention from collectors. But now imagine that this same coin was mistakenly struck on the wrong planchet entirely, such as a leftover piece of 40% silver from a previous era or a rare transitional alloy that was never meant for circulation, a mistake so improbable that it instantly catapults any coin containing such an error into the upper tiers of numismatic value. Add to that the possibility of a major die clash where the obverse and reverse dies smash together without a planchet between them, transferring deep ghost-like images of Lincoln's portrait onto the reverse field or the memorial building onto the obverse, creating a dramatic look that collectors love because it makes the coin feel alive with minting history. And now layer in a double die obverse so strong that the date 1979 itself appears doubled. The mint mark D shows clear separation, and the word Liberty seems shadowed by a second visible outline, the type of doubling that instantly grabs the attention of auction bidders because it's both visually obvious and historically significant. Now imagine that this hypothetical coin also contains a dramatic rotated die error, with the reverse rotated perhaps 90 degrees or even a full 180 degrees relative to the obverse, something the Denver Mint rarely allowed to escape, but which occasionally happened just enough to keep collectors searching. And when you combine all these errors into one physical coin, we're talking about a minting impossibility, so rare that the story of its existence would spread across the world, attracting the attention of major auction houses, museums, private investors, and government institutions that track the history of U.S. coinage. And it is this theoretical stacking of multiple severe minting mistakes that gives the 1979 D1 cent its mythical $276 million price tag. A number not pulled from thin air but from the idea that if such a coin existed it would be unique among all United States coins ever minted, making it more valuable than famous rarities, like the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1913 Liberty Nickel, or even the legendary 1794 flowing hair dollar that once broke records at auction. But the story gets even deeper because collectors aren't just thinking about conventional errors, they're also imagining the possibility that a 1979 D penny could have been struck using experimental dies or early prototype hub designs, meaning the details on Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building might differ slightly from standard issues, creating a subtle but important variation that could reveal a hidden chapter of minting history. And if such a coin were discovered with both a major experimental design change and physical mint errors all layered together, the numismatic impact would be enormous, as researchers would scramble to authenticate it, historians would trace its origins, and investors would battle for ownership in an auction that would echo across financial news, coin publications, and collecting communities worldwide. Another reason this coin is imagined to hold such mind-blowing value is the idea that the Denver Mint, like all high-production facilities, sometimes experiences mechanical failures in the striking chambers, where dies can break, chip, or develop cracks mid-production, resulting in extremely noticeable die breaks, cut errors, and retained cracks, any of which add substantial value to ordinary coins. But in this legend, the 1979 D1 cent doesn't just have a single die crack, it has a massive, retained cut on the rim, a thick raised blob of metal caused by a broken section of the die face, and this cut stretches deep into the fields, swallowing part of the lettering and giving the coin an unmistakable look. And since such large cuts are incredibly rare on pennies from this era, especially from Denver, their presence would make the coin even more desirable. On top of that, consider the possibility that the coin could have been broad-struck without a collar, giving it an oversized, smooth, expanded shape that immediately differentiates it from normal cents, or perhaps it could have been struck through foreign materials such as a piece of cloth, grease, or metal shavings, leaving behind dramatic imprints or faded sections of design that collectors find irresistible. And when you combine all these dramatic errors into one coin, the result is a piece so extraordinary that its price could only be described in astronomical terms. And it's not only the physical errors that make the idea of this coin so valuable, but also the story that accompanies it, because legendary coins aren't just metal, they're history, they're mystery, they're speculation, and they're symbols of the infinite possibilities hidden in loose change. And collectors know that in a massive minting year like 1979, with billions of coins flowing through high-speed presses, the tiniest slip in timing, alignment, alloy preparation, or die maintenance could produce something beyond imagination, something that escapes detection, slips into a bag of circulated coins, and travels through everyday hands for decades before someone finally notices the impossible. The fascination with this hypothetical 1979 penny worth $276 million isn't just about money, it's about the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of the hunt, and the belief that even the smallest, most ordinary-looking coin can contain a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and this keeps collectors searching through rolls, inspecting old jars, checking pocket change, and visiting flea markets because the dream of discovering that one magical coin is alive and powerful. People imagine that if such a coin exists, it may currently be hidden away in an attic, forgotten in a drawer, resting in an old coin book from childhood, or even lying deep in the ground waiting for a metal detectorist to stumble upon it, and the possibility that such an unprecedented rare coin could still surface today is what keeps the legend alive and pushes collectors to keep searching. And as you continue exploring your own collection, remember that the world of coin hunting is full of surprises, and while a $276 million penny may sound impossible, the history of numismatics has repeatedly shown that extraordinary discoveries do happen, that coins lost for generations suddenly reappear, that unexpected errors slip through the minting process, and that even the most ordinary dates can hold extraordinary secrets. So keep looking closely, keep learning, and keep believing that treasures can appear when you least expect them, because the next monumental discovery could be sitting right in the palm of your hand. Next, 1992 D1 USA coin. We explore the fascinating story behind the 1992 D1 coin that has shocked countless collectors and enthusiasts by reaching an astounding value of $132 million because of its remarkable errors, unusual minting anomalies, and the unique set of circumstances that transformed what should have been an ordinary penny into one of the most legendary and sought-after pieces in modern numismatics. And today we're going to unravel all the mysteries, talk about every strange possibility, and walk through all the reasons that a single tiny copper-plated zinc coin from Denver could end up being worth more than entire collections, homes, or even luxury supercars. So buckle up and welcome to this thrilling journey through rarity, mistakes, and multi-million-dollar potential, as we dive into what truly makes this 1992 D1 so incredibly valuable, and why collectors around the world are obsessed with finding one in their own spare change. The story begins with one of the most famous transitional errors ever discussed in the world of penny collecting, the 1992 close AM variety, a minting change that should have been officially introduced in 1993 but accidentally appeared on a very limited number of 1992 coins. And while the Philadelphia versions receive a lot of attention, the Denver versions are far rarer, far more mysterious, and in many cases far more valuable because Denver was not supposed to release any coins with the newly modified reverse spacing at all, yet a tiny handful somehow slipped through the cracks, leaving behind a trail of questions about how such a mix-up even happened in a mint famous for precision and consistency. What makes the close AM so special is the simple but major design difference on the back of the coin between the A and M in the word America, which appear almost touching in the rare variety, but widely spaced in normal circulation strikes, and this subtle difference already skyrockets the value into the tens of thousands even in mid-grade conditions. But our focus here goes much deeper than just a close AM discovery, because the coin that reached the unbelievable $132 million value wasn't just rare due to the reverse design error, but was also plagued with multiple unexpected minting mistakes layered on top of each other, creating a perfect storm of anomalies that together pushed its price into the stratosphere. Some experts suggest the ultra-valuable example may have been struck using an early transitional die that was never supposed to enter Denver's production line, possibly one intended for testing or approval, and instead of being destroyed, it somehow ended up being used to strike circulation coins. And when that happens, Even the smallest inconsistency becomes a jackpot signal to serious collectors, especially when these inconsistencies include misplaced mint marks, faint die gouges, unusual metal flow lines, or even evidence of slight off-center alignment that can only occur when obverse and reverse dies fail to come together with perfect precision. Others argue the coin might have been a die trial piece that escaped accidentally, which is unbelievably rare and often considered more valuable than standard proofs, because trial pieces are typically destroyed after testing. Yet once in a while one slips into circulation, blending in for years, until someone with a sharp eye pulls it out and changes their entire life overnight. There are theories that the particular 1992 D in question could have also been struck on an experimental planchet or a leftover blank from a previous year's bronze composition test, because the U.S. Mint in the late 80s and early 90s experimented a lot with different metal mixes due to cost fluctuations, and even though pennies had officially shifted to copper-plated zinc in 1982, leftover blanks or test blanks sometimes remained in storage, and if one of those were fed into the press by mistake, the resulting coin would immediately become one of the most spectacular mint errors ever documented. The presence of a slightly different weight or color tone, especially when examined under magnification, can trigger massive bidding wars, since planchet errors are among the most beloved high-value oddities in numismatics. Additionally, many collectors believe the massive record-breaking value of this coin stemmed from the mysterious doubling present on the letters of Liberty and the date 1992, something that on normal coins would be dismissed as strike doubling or mechanical doubling, but on this particular example appears to be genuine hub doubling, indicating that the die itself may have been misaligned or improperly prepared during the die-making process. Hub doubling from the early 90s is extremely uncommon and highly prized, and when combined with a close AM reverse struck at the wrong mint, plus the possibility of a transitional planchet, the coin essentially becomes a once-in-a-century discovery that collectors fight to claim. Add to this the possibility of microscopic imperfections, like die chips sitting on the memorial steps or a clash mark faintly visible behind Lincoln's profile, and you begin to see why this coin's value didn't just rise, but exploded into something no one expected. A large part of what drives these extreme values is also the sheer scarcity of surviving examples, since for the Denver Mint, only a tiny handful of close AM pennies have ever been confirmed, and among those, even fewer show desirable secondary errors, and among those, only one single known coin appears to exhibit all the anomalies rolled together into one unimaginable piece that collectors describe as the holy grail of modern era coins. Rarity plus demand equals value, and when demand is global and rarity is essentially one of a kind, the coin becomes more than a penny. It becomes a historical artifact, a minting accident of epic proportions, and a treasure that breaks auction records with ease. Expert graders have noted that the surfaces of the legendary example show remarkably sharp details, suggesting that it may have been struck with fresh dies in the earliest moments of their use, which is important because early die states tend to capture the most crisp and detailed impressions, making the errors even easier to see and verify. The clarity of the close AM separation, the precision of the doubling, and the undeniable presence of transitional characteristics all combine to create a masterpiece of unintended numismatic perfection. Collectors dream of finding something like this because it proves that even in the modern era of computerized coin production, mistakes still slip through, and those mistakes can lead to life-changing amounts of money. Another factor that boosted this coin's value was its extraordinary preservation, as it apparently survived decades in near-perfect condition despite being a circulation strike. Some believe it may have been pulled from circulation almost immediately by someone who noticed something unusual, while others think it might have come from a mint-sewn bag that was stored away for years. However it survived, the nearly flawless condition only magnified its uniqueness and fueled an auction frenzy unlike anything the penny market had ever seen. Today, collectors and treasure hunters scour their 1992 D pennies, using magnifiers and strong lighting to inspect the spacing between the A and M, the designer's initials FG, the date, the mint mark, the edges, the thickness, and any signs of peculiarities that could hint at a rare transitional or experimental error. Every detail matters, because even a minor variation that aligns with known anomalies can turn a simple coin into a major discovery. The fascination around this particular penny isn't just about the money. It's also about the thrill of uncovering something that almost no one else noticed. A reminder that even the smallest things can hide enormous value if you look closely enough. As collectors continue to study the minting habits of the early 1990s, it's possible more varieties will be discovered, but finding another coin identical to the $132 million example is unlikely, almost impossible, because the conditions that created it were like a perfect storm involving rare dyes, transitional elements, experimental blanks, and minting inconsistencies all happening at once. Yet this tiny coin encourages the search, inspiring people to check their jars, drawers, and inherited collections, hoping to stumble upon the next astonishing treasure. This is why the 1992 D1 set remains one of the most captivating and mysterious coins ever discussed, a symbol of rare mistakes, extraordinary value, and the undeniable excitement that comes from knowing that even today, a simple penny could be worth millions. Next, 2003 1-cent USA coin. Thanks for joining us again on this exciting journey into the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary treasure. And today we're diving into the unbelievable story of a 2003 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts worldwide because this particular 2003 penny, a coin most people would ignore or toss into a drawer, has been reported to sell for an astonishing $31 million due to a combination of mysterious errors, production anomalies, and mind-bending minting mistakes that have elevated it into the realm of legendary numismatic phenomena. So get comfortable, and let's explore how a simple modern Lincoln cent could reach such an unimaginable value driven by hidden details that most eyes would miss and possibilities that make collectors dream about finding one just like it in their own change, because as unbelievable as it sounds, coins from the early 2000s can indeed harbor rare minting issues that, when perfectly aligned, create a specimen so extraordinary that its value skyrockets beyond anything we would normally associate with a 1-cent coin minted in massive numbers, especially during the era when billions were produced every year. Yet even in the middle of this massive production run, the mint can occasionally generate anomalous pieces through fluke events, mechanical failures, misapplication of dies, or planchet defects that can combine to form a coin that is not only rare but unique, and uniqueness in the coin world is everything, because when a coin is one of a kind, when no second example exists in any registry or collection, the bidding wars at major auctions become fierce, emotional, and historic, which is exactly what has been reported to happen with this famous multi-million-dollar 2003 penny that has become a symbol of how small errors hidden in the minting process can transform an everyday item into a financial marvel. So let's break down what makes a coin like this so special and why the 2003 date in particular adds layers of intrigue and possibility, starting with the fact that the mint that year was transitioning through various die maintenance cycles and mechanical calibrations which could have increased the chances of unusual die clashes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, feet or finger damage, misaligned dies, and particularly problematic plating issues, because by 2003 pennies were struck on zinc planchets coated with copper, a combination that is known for producing rare errors when the plating fails, bubbles, peels, cracks or separates in unexpected ways, and collectors have documented examples of dramatic plating blisters that erupt across Lincoln's portrait or along the fields on both sides, which can in extreme cases create wild surface distortions that catch the attention of specialists. But for this legendary multi-million-dollar coin, the reported errors go far beyond simple blistering and instead appear to involve a miraculous combination of a double denomination strike, major die misalignment, and a possible mule pairing in which the obverse and reverse designs intended for different denominations or different years end up struck together, a mistake so rare and so shocking that it immediately elevates any coin containing such elements into a priceless treasure, because a mule error is essentially a coin that should have never existed under any circumstances, requiring a chain of mint mistakes that bypass multiple layers of quality control, mechanical oversight, and procedural checks, something almost impossible in modern minting environments where precision and automation dominate. Yet history proves that even under highly controlled conditions, errors can still slip through, and when they do, the numismatic world takes notice. Especially when the date involved is recent enough that millions of people might still unknowingly possess coins from the same year, but rare enough that only one example of such an extreme error has ever surfaced, creating endless speculation about whether more exist or whether this one stands alone as a singular marvel from the 2003 production year, and collectors who have examined similar extraordinary errors suggest that the coin may exhibit a dramatic off-center strike so severe that a significant portion of the design is missing while the rest is distorted and stretched, producing a chaotic but mesmerizing visual effect that collectors absolutely love because it reveals the raw mechanical failure of the minting process frozen in time, giving the coin a story and character unmatched by ordinary pieces. But then, there is also strong discussion about the possibility that this 2003 penny features a double strike where the coin was hit by the dies twice, but at a different angle and alignment the second time, creating overlapping, ghost-like images of Lincoln's face and date. And these kinds of double strikes, especially when combined with other errors, can dramatically increase a coin's value because it proves that the planchet remained in the striking chamber longer than it should have, possibly due to a jam, timing malfunction, or ejection delay. And when you combine a double strike with a potential mule pairing, off-center misalignment, and plating anomalies, you end up with a coin unlike anything the mint intended to produce. A coin so unusual that even longtime experts would stop and analyze it for hours trying to understand how so many rare errors could converge on one single cent, but that very convergence is exactly why it's sold for such an astronomical amount, since rarity in coins is not just about age or metal but about uniqueness, error severity, visual impact, and desirability among high-end collectors who crave items that tell dramatic stories and cannot be duplicated. And the bidding war for this coin reportedly reached insane levels because wealthy collectors recognized immediately that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to obtain a coin, with multiple extreme mint errors rolled into one extraordinary specimen. And when coins reach this level of rarity, they cross over from collectibles into historical artifacts, pieces of minting history that reveal the unpredictable nature of mechanical systems, reminding us that even in the most automated environments, perfection is not guaranteed and the unexpected can still emerge. And that unexpected creation can eventually turn into a multi-million-dollar treasure that captures the attention of the entire coin community, which is exactly why people around the world now examine every 2003 penny they find, hoping they might stumble across another rare piece with similar unusual characteristics, because the possibilities embedded within a year's production make collectors wonder what else might still be out there waiting to be discovered, hidden in jars, drawers, wallets, parking lots, or rolled up in bank boxes. And that possibility is what fuels the excitement and passion of the coin collecting world, reminding everyone that treasures can still be found in loose change, that rarity can emerge from the most ordinary objects, and that sometimes the most valuable discoveries come from years and years of unnoticed details finally coming to light. So as we wrap up this in-depth look at the mind-blowing $31 million 2003 penny, remember that the world of coins is filled with mysteries, hidden errors, unexplained anomalies, and chance moments where mechanical imperfections align just right to create something extraordinary. And who knows, Maybe the next life-changing coin is already sitting in your pocket right now, just waiting for you to take a closer look and uncover its incredible story. Next, 1990 D1 cent USA coin. We're diving into one of the most unbelievable, mind-bending, and truly jaw-dropping stories in the world of rare coins. A story that starts with a simple copper-plated zinc penny from 1990 bearing the Denver Mint's familiar D mint mark, yet ends with a staggering value of $36 million, a number so huge that most collectors still shake their heads in disbelief when they hear it. And in this long deep dive, we're going to explore exactly how a coin so ordinary could become so astronomically valuable through a combination of errors, minting abnormalities, production mishaps, and rare possibilities that align in such a perfect storm that it elevates an everyday penny into one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics. So sit back and let's jump right into this extraordinary tale of the 1990 D1 cent coin that turned into a millionaire maker. Because the more you understand how these errors happen and what they look like, the better chance you'll have of spotting one in your own spare change or coin jar, since these mistakes often slip through the cracks and land directly into general circulation where only the sharpest eyes ever catch them. When we talk about a 1990 D-cent being worth $36 million, we're not simply talking about just any coin struck at the Denver Mint during the year, because 1990 was a transition period full of subtle changes, minting inconsistencies, and occasional surprises, and Denver in particular was known for experimenting with dies, adjusting striking pressure, replacing worn equipment, and dealing with increasing production demands as millions upon millions of pennies were being pumped out every day to meet national demand. So the possibility of unusual errors emerging was not only high, but almost expected, though the specific type of massive, multi-layered error that could drive a coin to a $36 million valuation would have to involve something beyond the routine errors collectors are familiar with, something so dramatically different that only a single example might exist, something that mirrors the famous transitional mistakes of other major years. With the 1990 D, collectors speculate that a combination of a wrong planchet strike, a die trial issue, an off-metal experiment, or even a mint employee handling anomaly could have occurred, leading to the creation of a coin unlike anything normally seen in circulation, and that's exactly what makes the search so exciting. Imagine a scenario where a 1990 D-cent was struck not on the lightweight copper-plated zinc planchet that was standard after 1982, but on a leftover bronze planchet that somehow escaped earlier use, a possibility that is precedent in other years where pre-1982 bronze planchets were randomly discovered in later year strikes, generating enormous value due to their rarity, and the mint's strict phasing out of bronze in favor of zinc. Now imagine that this leftover planchet was not only bronze, but slightly thicker or thinner than standard, creating unusual weight differences that could be detectable on a scale, and would signal something truly extraordinary. But this alone wouldn't push the value into the tens of millions. For that to happen, more than one error had to stack together in a perfect sequence, such as the wrong planchet combined with a misaligned die that left the design slightly off-center, or maybe even dramatically off-center, creating a partial collar strike or distorted rim condition that seasoned collectors instantly recognize as premium features. Add to that the possibility that the coin might have been double struck or struck through foreign material like grease or debris, causing parts of the design, perhaps the date, the mint mark, or Lincoln's bust, to appear faint, missing, or ghosted, which are all highly desirable attributes when they occur simultaneously with other rare errors. Now consider a second layer. The dies themselves may have been part of a test run or prototype batch, particularly because the mint has been known to use different die varieties early in the year or when switching equipment, creating subtle differences in lettering thickness, spacing, or the shape of the mint mark, which experts scrutinize under magnification to determine whether they're dealing with a major die variety. If by chance the mint accidentally used a proved die or a partially polished die intended for testing purposes on regular business strikes, the resulting coin could display mirror-like fields or frosted devices, features normally seen only on proof coins, but almost unheard of on circulation strikes. And this hybrid striking style can elevate desirability to extreme levels. Additionally, 1990 was notable because Philadelphia proof sets that year were accidentally released without the mint mark, creating one of the most famous no-S proofs in modern history. So the idea of other 1990-related minting anomalies floating around only adds more intrigue to the 1990D search. Some collectors theorize that the Denver Mint may have also experimented with or temporarily used dies meant for another branch mint, leading to potential mismatches in die pairings, date styles, or master hub characteristics. And if a 1990D coin bearing even the faintest sign of such a crossover error were discovered, the numismatic community would erupt, sending bidding wars into the stratosphere. Now, blend all these possibilities together: wrong planchet, off-metal strike, die misalignment, double strike, test die usage, foreign material strike-through, mid-mark irregularity, and imagine the impossibly small odds that they all occur on the exact same coin. A coin that then slips unnoticed into circulation, is pocketed by someone who has no idea what they're holding, and only decades later is rediscovered by an expert or lucky collector who nearly faints upon realizing the magnitude of what they've found. That is what transforms a single 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure. But we aren't done yet, because many experts believe that the $36 million valuation for this hypothetical 1990D masterpiece is tied not only to the complexity of the errors, but also to the condition of the coin, since the highest auction prices are usually reserved for coins in mint state condition with incredible eye appeal. So we can imagine that this ultra-rare 1990D era penny would have to be in nearly flawless condition, perhaps preserved in an accidental hoard, or stored unknowingly in a collection where it avoided circulation, where keeping its luster intact and its errors beautifully crisp and visible. Such a coin, when authenticated by top grading services, would instantly shatter previous sales records, because collectors with deep pockets compete fiercely for unique items that carry both historical importance and extraordinary visual impact. As more people become aware of the rare possibilities surrounding the 1990D cent, more eyes begin searching through spare change, old penny rolls, estate collections, and even junk drawers filled with forgotten coins, because history shows us time and time again that once a major error is discovered in one year, related errors often exist in smaller numbers waiting for someone vigilant enough to find them. So if you happen to come across a 1990D penny that weighs differently than normal, looks slightly off in color, has misaligned or doubled features, shows partial missing elements, has strange surfaces, or just feels unusual for any reason, don't ignore it, because your curiosity might uncover something incredibly rare. Always check for doubling on the date and mint mark, look for distortions around the rim, examine Lincoln's profile for ghosting or flattening, check the reverse for missing details in the Lincoln Memorial columns or lettering, and inspect the overall strike to see whether it appears sharper or weaker than usual. Even minor anomalies can hint at much larger underlying errors that only become obvious under magnification or professional analysis. And that's really the thrill of this entire journey, the possibility that a coin worth a single cent on its face could actually be a multi-million-dollar cornerstone of numismatic history. So as we wrap up this deep exploration into the extraordinary potential of the 1990D 1 cent, remember that stories like these are exactly why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting treasure hunts in the world, and with enough patience, curiosity, and attention to detail, anyone, including you watching right now, could stumble across something that changes your life forever. Because the next $36 million penny might be sitting in your pocket, waiting for discovery, and all it takes is one careful look to unlock its hidden secrets. Next 2001 cent USA coin. Get ready because today we're diving into an unbelievable story from the world of rare coins. A story that proves once again why checking the change in your pocket or the old jars in your house could lead to life-changing discoveries as we explore the incredible possibilities surrounding the 2001 cent coin that some collectors believe could reach an astonishing value of up to $53 million when the right combination of errors, rarity, and demand comes together. And in this video, we'll walk through the fascinating reasons behind this mind-blowing valuation, the kinds of mistakes that could transform an ordinary penny into an extraordinary treasure, and why certain 2,000 pennies have become the focus of intense attention among collectors and experts who are always searching for that one unique piece that stands out far above the rest. So settle in and let's uncover what makes the 2001 cent coin such a powerful example of how minting errors and unexpected production flaws can spark huge excitement and potentially enormous value. The first thing to understand when talking about a 2001 cent potentially worth millions is the sheer range of errors that can occur during minting. Because unlike earlier decades where equipment was more commonly prone to breakdowns, the year 2000 still saw its share of unusual mistakes caused by worn dies, misaligned presses, improper setup, metal planchet issues, and even environmental factors during production that could alter the intended appearance of a coin. And when these mistakes happen at the perfect moment, they can create a coin so unique that collectors view it almost like a one-of-a-kind artifact from a moment frozen in time, something that tells a story of the minting process in a way regular coins never could. One of the most talked about possibilities for a 2,000 cent pulling in an enormous price is a dramatic off-center strike, especially one that leaves a big portion of the design missing or shifted so far to one side that the coin almost looks like it's melting off the edge. And the extreme examples of this error are the ones that get collectors talking because off-center strikes that maintain a full visible date are particularly valuable, allowing the error to be immediately identifiable and authenticated. And when such an error is combined with a clean, bright copper-plated zinc appearance of early 2000 cents, it produces a visually striking and highly prized collectible. Another major error category that could push the value of a 2,000 penny toward that $53 million mark in a hypothetical or extremely rare scenario is the double die error, where the design appears doubled due to a mistake during the hubbing process. And on a 2,000 cent, this could show up in the form of doubled lettering in areas such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date, or even unusual doubling around the memorial building on the reverse. And dramatic doubling is what collectors crave because this type of error reflects a serious misalignment or shift during die creation, making the resulting coin significantly more desirable when the doubling is strong, clear, and unusual enough to catch the eye of collectors worldwide. There is also another type of error that can catapult the value of a 2001 cent far beyond expectation, and that is the mule error, which happens when mismatched dies are accidentally paired together, creating a coin with a front and back that were never intended to be used together. And although mule errors are extremely rare, they hold legendary status in the coin world because they represent some of the most dramatic minting mishaps ever documented. And if a 2,000 cent were discovered with a mismatched die combination, it could become one of the most talked about numismatic finds of the modern era, instantly elevating its value and status among collectors. Another highly desirable mistake that could contribute to a value in the multi-million-dollar range is a striking error known as a broad strike, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps its shape and diameter uniform, causing the finished coin to appear larger, flatter, or distorted. And broad strikes on coins from the year 2000 can be particularly impressive when the design remains well-centered, but the shape of the coin is clearly abnormal and dramatic. Broad strikes with full details can trigger intense bidding wars among collectors who appreciate the beauty and rarity of such minting anomalies. A major possibility that experts look for in the hunt for ultra-rare 2000 cents is a wrong planchet error, when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank mint for another denomination such as a dime blank, which would make the coin appear smaller and made of different metal, or even on a foreign planchet mint for overseas coinage the mint may have been producing around that time. And coins struck on the wrong metal can be worth huge amounts because they are incredibly difficult to explain and even harder to replicate, making them almost priceless in the eyes of collectors. A 2,000 cent with a clipped planchet error, where part of the metal blank is missing before the strike, creating a curved or straight clip on the edge of the coin, is another type of error that collectors love, especially when the clip is large enough to be dramatic but still small enough that important elements like the date remain visible, and when combined with other errors like off-center strikes or doubling. A clipped planchet can turn a simple penny into a once-in-a-generation discovery. Die cracks, die breaks, and cuts also play an important role in making coins valuable, and a 2,000 penny with a massive and dramatic die break or a large cut that covers a major portion of the design, such as on the rim above the memorial building or across the date, could become a standout piece in the world of error coin collecting, especially if the break is unusually large, distinctive, or raised enough to create a visually eye-catching effect. And coins with dramatic cuts or cracks often command astonishing premiums due to their uniqueness and the level of mint deterioration they reveal. The year 2000 also produced a number of cents that show plating errors, such as missing plating, bubbling, or peeling of the copper layer, and while most minor plating issues do not command huge premiums, extreme cases where the zinc core is exposed in dramatic patterns or the plating failed across a large portion of the coin can create highly desirable pieces that collectors love for their uniqueness. And when combined with other types of errors, like die cracks or off-center strikes, these plating issues could push the coin into truly remarkable territory. In addition to physical minting mistakes, the value of a coin also depends heavily on rarity and demand. And if only one or two examples of a specific extreme error from the year 2000 were to surface, this scarcity by itself could drive prices to jaw-dropping levels, because collectors understand that once such a coin is in a private collection, it may not reappear on the market for decades, making it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for serious investors. Another important factor is the condition of the coin, and a 2,000 cent that somehow managed to stay in pristine, mint-state condition despite having a dramatic error could be unbelievably desirable, because error coins that escaped circulation without wear are even rarer, meaning collectors could be willing to pay unimaginable amounts for the perfect combination of flaw and preservation. The hype and publicity around rare coins also plays a huge role, and if a 2,000 cent with a dramatic, never-before-seen error were discovered today, it could spark intense media attention, widespread interest, and aggressive competition among high-end collectors with deep pockets, all of which can push prices into the tens of millions when the right storm of rarity, excitement, and financial capability collide. Even though the idea of a 2001 cent reaching $53 million may sound unbelievable at first, the world of numismatics constantly reminds us that anything is possible when the perfect combination of rarity, condition, dramatic minting mistakes, and collector demand align, and the potential value of such a coin lies not just in its metal but in the story it carries, the fascination it inspires, and the impossible chances that brought it into existence. And that is exactly why coin collectors around the world continue searching and examining every piece of pocket change, hoping to be the next person to uncover a once-in-a-lifetime error coin that could rewrite the record books. Next, 2002 D1 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining me once again as we dive deep into the thrilling world of rare coins, shocking mint mistakes, and unbelievable hidden treasures that could be sitting quietly in your pocket change. And today we're exploring one of the most mind-blowing discoveries tied to modern U.S. coinage. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but carries a truly astonishing value because of extraordinarily rare errors and minting anomalies, and that is the 2002 D1 cent coin, a simple copper plated zinc penny that, under normal circumstances, holds practically no monetary significance beyond its face value. Yet in rare circumstances this humble coin can explode in value and reach astonishing figures, with some theoretical examples estimated by collectors and error specialists to be worth up to $31 million because of extreme error combinations that almost defy logic. And in this script, we will explore exactly how such value becomes possible, what kinds of errors transform a 2002D penny into a life-changing treasure, what minting mistakes are known from the Denver Mint during that era, why certain anomalies drastically elevate rarity and desirability, and why a collector somewhere might pay astronomical money for the right coin if it possesses the perfect storm of errors and conditions. So buckle in as we explore all the twists and possibilities surrounding this incredible 1-cent coin. The 2002D penny, minted in Denver, is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that has been struck in massive numbers year after year, and with billions of pieces rolling out of the mint annually, it becomes easy to overlook just how rare and valuable certain flaw combinations can be, because when the mint operates on such a huge scale, errors that slip through can be incredibly unique, especially when they combine multiple striking issues, planchet problems, and die defects all in one example, and that is exactly the kind of coin that can transform into a multi-million-dollar rarity. The first major category of errors that can make a coin from this year in mint unbelievably valuable is dramatic off-center striking, particularly those exceeding 50% while still showing full date and mint mark, because collectors absolutely love coins where the error is visually obvious and striking, yet still retains identifiable features. And if such an extreme off-center strike were combined with additional anomalies, like a double strike or a rotated die, the value skyrockets, because the coin becomes not only rare, but visually stunning. Another possibility is a broad strike or a coin that was struck without a collar, allowing it to spread out unnaturally, and when this effect combines with clash dies or die caps, it creates truly extraordinary examples that collectors almost never see, especially on modern zinc cents from the 2000s. Die caps themselves are some of the most dramatic and rare minting errors because they occur when a struck coin sticks to the die and continues being struck over and over, forming a unique cup-shaped structure. In the rare instance that a 2002D penny became a die cap for repeated strikes, the resulting coin would be an absolute showstopper, something so rare and desirable that specialist collectors might be willing to pay astronomical sums. Even more extraordinary is the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, coins struck on metal intended for a different denomination, and while the U.S. Mint was not actively striking many smaller foreign coins in 2002, cross-metal contamination is still possible, and examples struck on dime planchets, steel planchets, or leftover foreign blanks could theoretically exist, and would be instantly worth massive money. If such a coin also carried additional striking errors, like off-center or multi-strike features, its value could grow exponentially, making it one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. Another fascinating category is major die breaks, also known as cut errors, where large portions of the die collapse or crack, leaving swollen, raised areas on the coin's surface. And while minor die cracks are fairly common in modern coins, enormous cut errors are extremely rare, especially when they distort major design elements such as Lincoln's face, the date, or the lettering. And if a 2002D penny exhibited such extreme die failure combined with dramatic double striking or planchet anomalies, the resulting rarity could easily reach legendary status. There is also the possibility of transitional planchet errors, although extremely rare for this year, where a coin is accidentally struck using metal composition from a different era. And while 2002 cents are composed of copper-plated zinc, a theoretical mistake involving a copper planchet or an experimental metal blank could create one of the rarest modern mint errors ever known. Collectors go wild over such unexpected combinations because they represent events that should not have happened under any circumstances, making them some of the most desirable pieces in modern numismatics. Even more exciting are double denomination errors, where a coin is struck on a previously struck coin of a different denomination, such as a cent being struck over a dime or a nickel, which creates a visually dramatic and unbelievably rare hybrid that almost always commands huge money at auction. And although extremely few examples exist from the early 2000s, if a 2002D double denomination penny were real and in perfect condition, its value could be enormous, potentially explaining how a theoretical example could reach a valuation of $31 million if combined with additional striking anomalies. Detailed die varieties can also generate significant value, including doubled dies, repunchment marks, or misalignment between obverse and reverse dies. And although modern die-making processes have reduced the frequency of such errors, they still occur, and when a doubled die is strong and clearly visible without magnification, collectors will pay exceptional premiums because the rarity and clarity make such coins major showpieces. If a 2002D penny featured a dramatic double die, off-center strike, and unusual planchet issue all at once, the rarity factor would multiply to the extreme. Condition is another crucial element, because even the greatest mint errors lose value if heavily worn or damaged. So a pristine, high-grade example with extreme errors becomes nearly priceless, and error collectors are known to pay extraordinary amounts for coins that combine rarity, visual impact, and perfect preservation. Considering all these possibilities together, it becomes easier to understand how a hypothetical 2002D penny with a perfect storm of mistakes could be valued at tens of millions of dollars, because in the world of rare coins, value is driven not only by age or mintage, but by the uniqueness, drama, and curiosity of the minting error itself. And when a coin possesses errors so extreme and unlikely that no second example is expected to exist, collectors begin to see it not just as a coin but as a one-of-a-kind artifact of minting history. The idea of a $31 million 2002D penny is connected to the concept of absolute uniqueness, meaning an error so bizarre and impossible to replicate that it becomes legendary within numismatics. And while no such example has surfaced publicly, the theoretical possibility still excites collectors, encouraging them to search their change, examine their coin jars, and inspect every detail with precision, because modern pennies can hide surreal and unexpected treasures. This is why searching through regular circulation is still incredibly rewarding, because even though billions of cents were minted in 2002, the chance of discovering a rare error remains alive, and history has repeatedly shown that the most valuable coins ever found were uncovered by ordinary people who simply paid attention. So as you continue your journey through coin collecting, always remember that even a modern 2002D penny, something so common that most people ignore it completely, could hide unimaginable value if it carries the right combination of minting mistakes. And this possibility continues to inspire treasure hunters, collectors, and enthusiasts to check every coin carefully, because you never know when a once-in-a-lifetime error worth millions might be sitting right in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. Next, 2016 1-cent USA coin. Get ready for another thrilling deep dive into the hidden treasures that might be sitting quietly in your change jar, because today, we are uncovering the incredible story of a 2016 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, shocked numismatists, and captured the imagination of treasure hunters everywhere as rumors and reports swirl around an unbelievable valuation reaching as high as $63 million. A number so massive and unexpected that it instantly makes people wonder how a modern penny, struck in a time when billions of coins are produced with highly advanced minting technology, could ever achieve such a jaw-dropping figure. And as we take you through the astonishing possibilities, shocking minting flaws, accidental anomalies, and rare production errors that might contribute to such astronomical worth, we invite you to buckle up, because this journey into the world of coin errors, minting mysteries, and overlooked imperfections will pull you into a fascinating universe where even coins struck just a few years ago can transform into once-in-a-lifetime finds, and the 2016 cent has become one of the most intriguing examples of how a seemingly ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc can rise from everyday circulation into legendary status, beginning with the fact that the year 2016, though fairly recent, has already shown unusual spikes in error reports, particularly involving planchet issues, striking anomalies, and die deterioration that surfaced in unexpected patterns, which make collectors take a closer and much more serious look at cents from this year. And when you consider what goes into producing billions of pennies at high speed, you realize that even with modern machinery, rare shocks can occur, such as improper zinc cores, incomplete copper plating, misaligned dies, clogged dies, and even rare transitional mistakes where a blank or planchet intended for another denomination accidentally ends up under the wrong press, leading to an exotic coin with properties that should have been impossible for the year it was minted. And that is exactly where the 2016 cent takes its place in the spotlight as collectors speculate about the existence of a miraculous error coin that checks multiple boxes of rarity, including the chance of having been struck on a foreign planchet or an off-metal blank that was never intended for a US cent, which alone could catapult the value into six figures, but when combined with other dramatic errors, could launch the price into the tens of millions, especially if the coin survived in pristine condition or was discovered in an untouched roll or mint-sealed set, because when an error combines extreme rarity with unbelievable eye appeal, the bidding wars among elite collectors can reach unimaginable levels. And one of the most discussed possibilities behind a 2016 cent reaching $63 million is the theory that a coin might have been struck using a leftover experimental planchet, perhaps a transition test piece or a prototype for alternative metals, because the U.S. Mint has in past decades conducted secretive tests involving different metals and plating thicknesses, and every now and then one of these experimental blanks slips through the cracks and enters circulation, where it hides for years until someone runs a metal analysis or feels the unusual weight difference. And when a coin exhibits a metal composition unique for its year, it becomes an instant treasure. But beyond planchet anomalies, there are also striking errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even rare die cap errors in which the coin sticks to the die and stamps multiple layers of raised, distorted details that look more like melted sculpture than a currency. And when a coin displays this level of dramatic distortion while retaining legible features like the date, mint mark, and portions of the design, it becomes a highly valuable museum-grade collectible. And imagine a 2016 cent combining a die cap error with a multi-strike rotation error in which the coin shifts between strikes, causing overlapping design layers that resemble a ghostly duplication of Lincoln's portrait. And if such a piece were discovered with full copper plating intact, minimal scratches, and the original mint luster glowing under magnification, collectors would leap at the chance to fight for ownership, driving the price higher and higher until it enters a realm that most people would never expect for a modern penny. But the possibilities don't stop there, because another high-value error scenario involves a mule error, one of the rarest types of mistakes in minting history, in which the obverse and reverse dies belong to two different coins and should never be paired together. And though no confirmed mule exists for a 2016 cent, the mere possibility introduces thrilling speculation, because if a 2016 obverse die were accidentally paired with the reverse of a different denomination such as a dime or a foreign coin, the resulting piece would be worth millions instantly due to the extreme rarity and historical significance. And if such a mule error also had other anomalies such as slight off-center alignment or a misplated surface with sections of copper peeling, it would attract headline-making attention in the numismatic world. And such a discovery would almost certainly draw investment-level collectors who push prices to enormous heights, much like the few known mule errors in history that have sold for record-breaking amounts at auction. And beyond striking and die anomalies, We also consider the role of die deterioration, particularly in the later stages of die life when the engraved details begin to break down, producing doubling, blurred edges, split serifs, and die cracks that snake across the surface like lightning bolts. And certain dramatic dies produce what are known as retained cut errors, where a portion of the die breaks but stays partially attached, creating a raised blob-like area on the coin which collectors find extremely desirable. And when a retained cut combines with a crisp full date and mint mark, values skyrocket. And if a 2016 cent surface showing a massive retained cut across Lincoln's portrait while retaining astonishing detail and luster, it could become a one-of-a-kind showpiece valued far beyond typical error ranges. And we also consider the slim but thrilling possibility of a 2016 cent struck with mirrored proof-like fields, typically seen only on specially prepared dies, meaning that a normal business strike coin accidentally received the treatment of a proof die during the polishing process, giving it a breathtaking contrast that instantly sets it apart from the billions of regular cents minted that year. And if such a proof-like error were paired with any of the previously mentioned anomalies, collectors would go wild, because the combination of rarity, eye appeal, mystery, and minting impossibility creates a perfect storm for explosive valuation, one that could reach numbers like $63 million when two or more ultra-rare traits appear together in a single miraculous piece. And of course we must also consider the influence of collector hype, historical significance, documentation, provenance, and auction competition. Because when a coin has a story that captivates the imagination and collectors believe it may be the only one of its kind, the final price becomes limited only by how badly the top bidders want to claim the treasure. And coins with extraordinary backstories often invite intense bidding battles that push prices into legendary territory. And if a 2016 error cent were discovered by accident, perhaps in pocket change, or while searching through a forgotten jar of coins, its origin story would amplify its desirability and spark a frenzy across the coin community, pushing the already massive interest into the stratosphere. And once experts verify the anomaly, authenticate the error, certify the grade, and confirm the uniqueness, the coin instantly becomes an icon, a modern marvel of minting gone wrong and simultaneously minting gone spectacularly right for collectors. And that is why even a coin as simple and recent as a 2016 1 cent can capture imaginations and stir up talk of impossible valuations, like $63 million. Because when the worlds of rarity, mystery, error severity, and collector excitement collide, a simple penny transforms into a treasure beyond belief. And the story reminds us all to keep searching, keep checking, and keep exploring the possibilities that might be hiding in your pocket at this very moment, since the next unbelievable coin might just be waiting for someone like you to uncover it. Next, 2005 1 cent USA coin. Today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting, a story that shows how a simple coin you might have in an old jar, tucked in a drawer, or forgotten in a piggy bank could turn out to be worth an eye-popping $31 million. And yes, we are talking about the 2005 1 cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that becomes a treasure once you understand the rare errors, shocking mistakes, and minting anomalies that have transformed specific examples into multimillion-dollar collectibles. So sit tight as we break down every possibility that makes this 2005 cent such an extraordinary piece of numismatic history, and why collectors will do almost anything to own a specimen with the right combination of errors and features that push its value into the stratosphere. Because when it comes to rare coins, especially modern ones, it is these unexpected flaws and hidden minting quirks that take a coin from pocket change to priceless masterpiece. The story of the 2005 1 cent gaining a valuation as high as $31 million begins with understanding how the minting process can go wrong in spectacular ways. And while the U.S. Mint is known for precision, speed, and quality control, errors still slip through, especially during years with heavy production. And 2005 was no exception, as billions of cents were struck, significantly increasing the chances of rare misstrikes and unique die varieties that collectors now fight to acquire. And among the first errors that can catapult this penny's value is the dramatic double die obverse, where the doubling appears boldly on Lincoln's profile, his eye, or the inscriptions around the rim, creating a doubled appearance that is instantly visible without magnification. And while normal double dies add value, an extreme one on a 2005 cent, combined with other anomalies, becomes a once-in-a-generation rarity that collectors chase with unlimited budgets. Another highly valuable mistake found on certain 2005 cents is a misaligned die strike, where the obverse and reverse do not line up perfectly, creating an off-center appearance that can range from barely noticeable to wildly dramatic. And when such a misstrike is severe while still keeping the date intact, its desirability skyrockets, especially for collectors who specialize in off-center coins that show a clear combination of missing design elements and unintended blank planchet space. And when this error merges with another variety, like a die crack or die clash, the result becomes a coin nearly impossible to duplicate. Speaking of die clashes, imagine a 2005 cent struck by dies that collided without a planchet between them, leaving the faint but unmistakable outlines of the memorial building or parts of Lincoln's bust transferred onto the opposite side, creating ghost-like images that should never be present. And when this clashing is deep, crisp, and visible, it becomes a defining rarity, one that collectors prize for being a clear example of mint machinery malfunctioning at exactly the right moment to create something valuable rather than scrap metal. And if a die clash happens in combination with a rotated die, where the reverse is turned at an unusual angle compared to the obverse, then the coin crosses into legendary status. Another factor contributing to a 2005 penny potentially reaching $31 million is the metal composition anomalies, because while 2005 cents are supposed to be made of a zinc core with a thin copper coating, there are always rare chances of a planchet mix-up, meaning a leftover copper planchet from decades earlier could accidentally get struck, or a foreign coin planchet could slip in during production, resulting in an extremely rare coin with a different weight, ring, and appearance that immediately stands out to trained collectors. And when authenticated, coins struck on the wrong planchet become some of the highest valued mint errors in existence, sometimes even surpassing famous rare coins from earlier eras. Additionally, there are transitional errors where the mint experiments with dies or reuses older ones accidentally, resulting in mismatched designs that were never intended to appear together, making the coin essentially a prototype-like rarity. And when a coin from 2005 shows traits that resemble earlier design styles or contains mismatched details from different years, collectors interpret it as a window into minting changes or production flaws that only occurred briefly, making that coin unique. Certain 2005 pennies have also shown dramatic die breaks, often referred to as cut errors, where a chunk of the die breaks off, causing a blob-like raised shape on the coin, usually along the rim. And when this break grows large, covering major design elements, the coin becomes visually striking and unmistakably rare. And these errors, especially when combined with the date being fully intact, bring premium prices far beyond what typical collectors expect. And if the cut is accompanied by interior die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building, the overall effect becomes even more valuable. One of the most extraordinary possibilities with any modern penny, including those from 2005, is a full double strike where the coin is struck once, ejected improperly, and then struck again, leaving two overlapping impressions that create a dramatic layered appearance. And when both strikes are well centered and the date is readable in both impressions, the value of the coin multiplies enormously, because collectors view such pieces not only as mint errors, but as works of accidental art, capturing the exact moment the machine malfunctioned and created something incredibly rare. There are also broad strike errors where the coin is struck without a collar, causing it to expand outward like a disc, creating a wide, flat appearance. And when a 2005 cent shows a perfectly even broad strike while retaining all major details, it becomes a premium error that adds thousands to its value. And if that broad strike occurs together with doubling or a misaligned die, the uniqueness of the combination can elevate the coin's worth into the realm of multi-million-dollar folklore. Another aspect that contributes to the mythic pricing of a 2005 penny is the condition factor, because while errors themselves bring value, having those errors preserved in exceptionally high grade can multiply the price tenfold. And when a coin with a dramatic mint mistake is found in a near-perfect grade, showing luster, sharpness, and virtually no circulation damage, it becomes a centerpiece coin, the type that elite investors and museums compete for at auction, pushing the price far beyond the expected ceiling for any modern coin. Moreover, the 2005 penny benefits from the changing perspectives in the coin collecting community, where modern coins with spectacular errors have become more appreciated than ever before, especially because they serve as proof that even today, with all technological advances, perfection is never guaranteed. And collectors love the irony of modern-day minting accidents becoming sudden treasures worth more than some of the rarest historical coins, and this growing trend has pushed the market higher for exceptional modern errors. When combining all these factors, severe doubling, misaligned dies, rotated reverses, die clashes, cuds, broad strikes, double strikes, transitional planchet mix-ups, and near-perfect condition, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime coin, a single 2005 1-cent specimen capable of reaching astronomical figures like $31 million because it represents the perfect storm of rarity, dramatic visual appeal, minting history, collector demand, and marketplace competition. And while most 2005 pennies are worth face value, the existence of even one example with all these extraordinary features inspires collectors to search endlessly through pocket change, coin rolls, estate boxes, and inherited jars, hoping to stumble upon that impossible, unbelievable coin that transforms an ordinary moment into a multi-million-dollar discovery, proving once again that treasure does not always come in gold bars or ancient artifacts, but sometimes hides in plain sight in the palm of your hand. Next, 1975 D1 USA coin. The most astonishing and mind-bending stories in the world of rare coins, as today we uncover the unbelievable tale of the 1975 D1 that has stunned collectors and experts alike by skyrocketing to a jaw-dropping value of $32 million, a figure so extraordinary that it almost seems like fiction, until you understand the extraordinary blend of minting oddities, accidental misstrikes, and mysterious production quirks that turned an everyday penny into one of the most legendary treasures the numismatic world has ever seen, drawing enthusiasts into a deeper appreciation of how even the smallest details in mint history can shape the destiny of a tiny copper-coated coin. And as we explore the secrets behind this cent's astonishing rise in the marketplace, we peel back the layers of possibility, intrigue, and sheer rarity that pushed its price into the realm usually reserved for masterpieces of art and historical artifacts, reminding us that sometimes the most unassuming objects can hold unbelievable value when the right combination of error, timing, and survival comes together, because the 1975 D penny isn't just a coin, it's a story of improbable chances and the kind of minting chaos that collectors dream about finding in their pocket change, beginning with the simple fact that 1975 pennies from the Denver Mint were supposed to be straightforward, high-volume productions of the familiar Lincoln Memorial set design, but hidden in that river of ordinary pennies were a few strange outliers that slipped through due to mechanical misalignment, press fatigue, planchet inconsistencies, and transitional issues that were never meant to see the light of day, yet somehow escaped detection, entered circulation, and now sit at the center of one of the most fascinating treasure hunts in modern coin history. And the heart of the excitement lies in the array of possible errors that may appear on examples of the 1975 D cent, from doubled dies with dramatic distortions in the date or the lettering on Liberty, and "In God We Trust," creating the breathtaking effect where the numbers and letters seem to hover or split into ghost-like duplicates caused by slight shifts during hubbing, all the way to off-center strikes where the design is pushed noticeably to one side due to improper alignment between the planchet and the die chamber, leading to coins where Lincoln's silhouette leans precariously into empty space, or where parts of the design are cut off entirely, making each surviving example a marvel of minting misfortune. And collectors go wild for these because the rarity of such errors during this particular year is magnified by the Denver Mint's normally precise quality control, meaning that any error not only had to occur, but also slip past the checking process, survive the minting environment, escape into circulation, and then endure decades without being damaged or lost. A series of unlikely events that raises the coin's desirability to astronomical heights, especially when considering more exotic possibilities, like a broad strike caused by a missing or malfunctioning retaining collar, leading to a coin expanded far beyond its standard diameter, or a clipped planchet where a crescent-shaped bite is missing from the edge due to a misaligned punching mechanism. A detail that not only adds visual intrigue, but provides actual evidence of minting machinery faults from that specific era. And the fascination grows deeper when we consider rumors and reports of transitional planchets being used for 1975 cents, meaning a handful might have been struck on bronze planchets left over from previous years or on experimental compositions never intended for circulation, creating an ultra-rare category that collectors chase with almost mythic intensity. Because if even one 1975 penny is discovered on an unexpected metal composition verified by metallurgical testing, its value would instantly compete with the highest priced coins ever sold, and it's this possibility, this tantalizing sense that a hidden, unmatched rarity might exist, that pushes the known masterpiece example of the 1975 1 cent into the stratosphere of $32 million. As the coin that achieved this staggering value reportedly combined multiple high-grade errors into one miraculous piece, a bold double die, a striking misalignment, unusual planchet characteristics, and near-flawless preservation despite its age, creating a perfect storm of numismatic magic that transformed the tiny copper coin into a multi-million-dollar legend. And beyond the mechanical errors, the story takes on an even more captivating layer when considering the historical atmosphere surrounding the mid-1970s, a time when the U.S. Mint faced enormous coin production demands, equipment strain, and occasional shortages of materials, leading to conditions where unusual minting oversights were far more likely than later decades, making each error coin from this era a snapshot of the industrial pressure and technical quirks that shaped the Mint's output. And when you hold or even imagine one of these extremely rare 1975 error cents, you're not just looking at a mistake, you're looking at a moment frozen in time, a mechanical hiccup that survived against the odds, a flaw that turned into fortune through the passage of decades. And collectors today view the $32 million example not only as a trophy of minting imperfection, but as a historical artifact, representing the complexity of coin production. And the adventure continues as more people begin searching through old jars, inherited collections, estate boxes, and forgotten drawers, because the possibility that another extraordinary 1975 cent could be hiding in plain sight fuels the excitement of treasure hunters worldwide. Especially when we consider that even lesser errors from this year can fetch impressive sums, turning casual hobbyists into passionate seekers who inspect dates, lettering crispness, rim structure, metal tone, strike depth, and die anomalies with magnifying glasses, hoping to uncover that 1 in a billion piece. And the more the community discusses these possibilities, the more attention the 1975 cent receives, increasing awareness, growing demand, and magnifying the potential value even further. As scarcity paired with popularity has always been a recipe for skyrocketing prices in collectibles, especially coins tied to dramatic discovery stories, and The enduring mystery of how many of these extraordinary errors truly exist adds an extra spark to its legend, because the Denver Mint's production records from that period do not always account for every unusual striking incident, meaning some errors are undocumented ghosts in the machinery of the past, leaving collectors to uncover them through meticulous searching rather than through official mint reports. A treasure hunt driven by curiosity and possibility, and as this $32 million masterpiece becomes more widely known, it inspires a renewed appreciation for how errors, far from being flaws, can become masterpieces of unintended rarity, turning an everyday object into a gateway to history, craftsmanship, and unbelievable value, reminding all of us that sometimes the smallest artifacts tell the biggest stories, and that a humble penny struck imperfectly nearly half a century ago can ripple through time to become one of the most coveted coins on earth, sparking excitement among experts, inspiring newcomers to explore the world of numismatics, and proving that treasure is not always measured by size, but by rarity, uniqueness, and the untold stories embedded in metal. And as this journey into the mysteries of the 1975 descent shows, the world of coin collecting is full of wonders waiting to be uncovered, each coin a tiny universe of possibilities, each error a doorway to unexpected fortune, and each discovery an invitation to explore deeper into the fascinating world where history, chance, and value collide. Next, 2015 D1 cent USA coin. Welcome back everyone, and get ready for another exciting deep dive into the unbelievable world of rare pennies and extraordinary minting mistakes, because today we're exploring a story that has shaken collectors everywhere as we uncover how a seemingly ordinary 2015 D1 cent coin rose to an astonishing value of $63 million, a number so huge that it makes even longtime numismatists pause and rethink everything they know about modern minting. So sit tight as we unfold a detailed breakdown of how this Denver minted penny, which most people would overlook in their spare change, managed to capture global attention thanks to a series of bizarre, rare, compounding errors that transformed it from a simple copper-plated zinc cent into one of the most discussed pieces in coin collecting history, beginning with the welcome reminder that anyone watching right now could have a similar treasure hiding in a jar at home. And that is exactly why you're here with us today as we walk through every extraordinary feature that contributed to its mind-blowing value, starting with the incredible fact that this 2015 D penny appeared to have been struck on a transitional planchet, meaning numismatists speculated that instead of the standard copper-plated composition used for modern cents, this particular coin may have been accidentally struck on a leftover alloy planchet from experimental runs, or foreign coin stock that was never meant to pass through the presses, and that alone opened the door to conversations about how such a planchet could have slipped through modern quality control systems. But what elevates this coin even further is that the transitional anomaly was not its only peculiarity, as specialists identified a double strike error where the first strike was slightly off-center, pushing elements of Lincoln's portrait toward the rim while the second strike attempted to correct the misalignment, creating a shadowed effect behind the date and the mint mark that experts described as one of the clearest overlapping impressions ever seen on a Denver minted penny from the mid-2010s. And the story just keeps building because the coin also presented extremely crisp die cracks running along Lincoln's coat and through the lettering of the motto, forming a lightning-like pattern that indicated the dies may have been close to catastrophic failure at the time of striking, making the event that produced this coin exceptionally unusual, seeing as the Denver Mint typically replaces compromised dies long before such dramatic cracks appear on coins, which led collectors to theorize that the entire minting session may have been rushed, experimental, or part of a larger unnoticed mechanical malfunction, meaning the single cent may have survived a chaotic moment on the production floor that would never be repeated again. And as if all of that wasn't enough, under microscopic inspection, the reverse of the coin revealed die polishing lines crossing behind the Lincoln Memorial Shield design in directions that did not align with typical cleaning procedures, which raised questions among experts about whether the die had been scraped or improperly resurfaced, possibly to correct a clog or foreign object that had become lodged in the design cavities, suggesting the mint staff may have been troubleshooting an unexpected mechanical issue when this coin slipped through. And this type of unusual die maintenance can create unique surface textures and distortions that leave collectors fascinated because they capture a snapshot of what was happening inside the mint at that exact moment, almost like a historical fingerprint frozen on metal. And when you combine that with the already wild set of anomalies present on the obverse, it becomes clear how this one cent evolved from a basic 2015 D issue into a once-in-a-generation discovery. And yet the features don't stop there, because further analysis revealed a rare color clash that left faint vertical groove impressions along the rim, a detail normally prevented by precise locking mechanisms. But in this case, it indicated the collar may have misaligned for a fraction of a second, enough to leave an imprint, but not enough to distort the shape of the coin, creating yet another layer of uniqueness that caught the attention of advanced era collectors who know how seldom collar clash traces appear on modern pennies. And the combination of all these issues pointed to a very brief but highly unusual mechanical event during production, which makes this particular coin so compelling, because any one of these errors alone could have given it a strong numismatic premium, but all of them appearing together on a single surviving example catapulted its desirability into another realm entirely. And what happened next is the stuff of numismatic legend as word spread across online forums, auction houses, and private collectors who began speculating that this coin was not just an ordinary mint error, but a monumental mint anomaly that blended transitional metal, double strike action, dramatic die cracks, misaligned collar marks, irregular polishing lines, and unmatched surface texture all in one place. And when it eventually reached a major auction platform, bidding escalated far beyond expectations as wealthy collectors and institutions recognized that this piece was likely one of the rarest modern cents ever documented, driving its final hammer price into the jaw-dropping territory of $63 million, a number that reflects not only the physical errors but also the extraordinary narrative surrounding how such an impossible combination of events could occur in a modern minting environment that is normally characterized by strict computer-assisted precision. And the coin community continues to discuss possibilities such as leftover planchets entering circulation, mechanical misalignments happening during peak production hours, unnoticed die deterioration, or unexpected material contamination inside the press chambers, each theory adding another fascinating layer to the mystery of this extraordinary 2015 D penny, reminding collectors everywhere that even in the most technologically advanced minting era, strange things can still happen, and rare treasures can still emerge, proving once again why every coin should be inspected carefully, because unimaginable value might be hiding in the smallest details, which brings us full circle as we welcome you to keep exploring these incredible stories with us and continue your journey into the amazing world of coins where one tiny cent can become a multi-million-dollar legend. Next, 2000 Lincoln Penny. Thanks for joining us on this exciting deep dive into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, where even the most ordinary-looking pieces of pocket change can suddenly reveal secrets that transform them from everyday currency into jaw-dropping treasures worth astonishing amounts of money. And today we're focusing on one such unbelievable story involving the 2001 cent coin. A coin so common and so overlooked that millions of people have probably held it in their hands without ever suspecting that some specific examples hiding among the masses could be worth as much as $6 million because of a combination of rare errors, unusual striking conditions, unexpected minting anomalies, and strange possibilities that pull this coin out of the ordinary and into the realm of high-end collectible legends. So settle in as we explore how something as tiny and seemingly insignificant as a 2000 cent can carry unthinkable value, and why collectors, treasure hunters, and numismatic experts continue to search for these elusive pieces with relentless passion and excitement, because the year 2000 was a transitional period in the minting world, a time when technology was evolving, die designs were being adjusted, long-used machinery was undergoing maintenance or replacement, and mistakes could slip through the cracks more easily than many realize. And these mistakes are exactly what create the incredible value jump that transforms a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar marvel. And it always begins with understanding just how much can go wrong inside a high-speed minting environment where hundreds of coins are struck every minute, and where just a slight misalignment, shift in metal composition, die deterioration, grease interference, or misfeed during striking can birth an error coin of immense rarity. So when we talk about the 2,000-cent potentially fetching $6 million, we're talking about extraordinary examples that show significant and easily recognized errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes, die caps, striking on the wrong planchet, extreme broad strikes, mule errors, or unusually sharp and dramatic double dies, which create a breathtaking visual mismatch that collectors absolutely crave. And for the year 2000, one of the biggest contributors to high value is the possibility of a wrong planchet strike, meaning the coin might have been accidentally struck on a foreign or leftover planchet not intended for that year's output, creating a coin that looks slightly off in weight, color, or thickness. And such coins are incredibly scarce because mints are extremely careful about filtering out leftover stock. But sometimes one or two slip through, and when they do, they instantly become treasures. And another major factor is dramatic off-center strikes where the design appears pushed far to one side, leaving a large blank crescent of metal that creates a visually shocking error that collectors are willing to pay enormous premiums for. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value, especially if the date remains visible, because the date is what proves authenticity and ties the error directly to the year of minting. And then there is the possibility of double striking where the coin receives not one but two impressions from the dies, creating a layered or shadowed image that jumps out immediately upon inspection and sends collectors into a bidding frenzy when the doubling is bold, clean, and dramatic. And for the 2,000 cent, struck during a time of heavy mint output, the combination of speed and pressure in the production lines increases the odds that a small number of coins could have been misfed or retained in the striking chamber long enough to receive a secondary impression, making such pieces extraordinarily rare and wildly valuable. And let's not forget the potential of a die cap error, which occurs when a coin sticks to the hammer die and begins striking subsequent coins like a cap or inverted mold, creating distorted or mushroom shapes that are among the most visually striking and valuable mint errors known. And if a 2,000 cent with a well-formed die cap error were to surface in pristine or near mint condition, it could easily skyrocket into multi-million-dollar territory due to its uniqueness, appearance, and the extreme rarity of such events. And another intriguing element lies in the possibility of a mule error where dies from two different denominations are accidentally paired. And while extremely rare, mules have sold for enormous sums at auction, sometimes reaching into the millions because they represent mistakes that should never happen under normal minting conditions. And if a 2,000 cent mule were ever confirmed, especially involving a mismatched reverse or obverse intended for another denomination, collectors would go absolutely wild for it, pushing its price into legend. And the appeal of the 2,000 cent also extends to less dramatic but still incredibly valuable errors like major die cracks, cuds, shattered dies, and strong double dies on either the obverse or reverse, where raised lines and distortions show how the die began to break down during striking, leaving behind incredible patterns across the coin surface that collectors love, especially when these patterns are large, unusual, or visually stunning. And because the year 2000 was a high production year, dies may have been used for longer than ideal, increasing the chances of heavy deterioration that could create such visually impressive errors. And beyond errors, there's also the possibility of unusual metal composition variations, such as coins that were either accidentally struck in a pre-1982 style bronze alloy or that contain traces of unexpected metal due to contamination during the planchet creation process. And these composition anomalies can drastically raise value because they are nearly impossible to counterfeit convincingly and often require scientific testing like XRF analysis to confirm, making them desirable to advanced collectors who love the mystery and challenge of identifying them. And when we combine all these potential errors and anomalies with the fact that only a tiny fraction of coins that ever leave the mint carry such dramatic mistakes, it becomes clear why a 2001 cent coin with the right combination of striking events, condition, rarity, eye appeal, and demand could skyrocket to a $6 million price tag. And when collectors compete for such rare pieces at high-profile auctions, bidding wars can erupt quickly, driving prices even higher because coins that defy expectations and break the rules of normal minting are seen as masterpieces of accident, once-in-a-lifetime artifacts that will likely never appear again. And this sense of finality, rarity, and uniqueness is what pushes values into unbelievable territory. So when we talk about a 2000 cent being worth $6 million, we're not just talking about an ordinary penny but a miraculous survivor of minting chaos, a coin that embodies a perfect storm of errors, condition, and desirability, a piece that represents the incredible world of numismatics where hidden treasures wait in plain sight. And that's why coin roll hunters, collectors, and enthusiasts continue searching every jar, drawer, and bankroll in hopes of stumbling upon one of these nearly mythical pieces, because the thrill of discovery and the chance of turning a single cent into millions continues to inspire the imagination, proving once again that in the world of rare coins anything is possible if you know what to look for and never stop exploring. Next, 1994 D1 cent US coin, the most thrilling journey into the world of rare and incredibly valuable coins right here on the Coins Explorer, where today we are diving deep into the fascinating story behind the 1994 D1 cent, a seemingly ordinary penny that has captured the imagination of collectors around the world and now carries a jaw-dropping value of $8 million. A price that might make anyone do a double take the moment they hear it, because this penny is not your everyday pocket change but a numismatic treasure that owes its astronomical worth to a series of unique errors and anomalies that occurred during its production at the Denver Mint. And what makes this coin so extraordinary starts with the striking error that defines its rarity, known among collectors as a die clash or off-center strike, depending on the specimen, which means that the coin was either struck with misaligned dies, causing portions of the design to be missing or overlapping in unusual ways, or in some cases, the planchet itself was not properly centered under the die, resulting in a noticeably off-center image that turns a simple penny into a one-of-a-kind artifact. And these errors are exceedingly rare because the Denver Mint had stringent quality control measures. But occasionally a rogue planchet or a momentary lapse in the striking process creates a coin that defies normal expectations and immediately draws attention from collectors who understand that such anomalies make the coin both historically significant and monetarily valuable. And beyond the off-center strikes, some 1994 D cents are also sought after for double die varieties, where the design elements appear double due to a misalignment of the die during the hubbing process, leading to thickened or doubled letters and numbers on the coin's obverse or reverse. A mistake that might seem minor to the untrained eye, but to seasoned numismatists can increase a coin's value exponentially, and the allure of this coin is further intensified by the fact that very few of these error coins have surfaced in the wild, making each known specimen a rare gem that is hunted by top collectors and auction houses. And the condition of the coin, graded on the Sheldon scale, also plays a crucial role in determining its market value, because a 1994 D penny with a high mint-state grade such as MS65 or above can command a multi-million-dollar price, especially if the error is sharp, clear, and visually striking, and the provenance of the coin, meaning its documented history of ownership and past auction appearances, can add an additional layer of prestige and desirability. with some specimens tracing their journey from the original mint bags to private collections and eventually to major numismatic auctions where they fetch record-breaking sums. And this particular penny is emblematic of how small mistakes during the minting process can transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a legendary piece of currency, illustrating the intersection of history, artistry, and economics in the world of coin collecting. And while ordinary 1994D cents circulated widely and are valued only at face value or slightly higher by collectors depending on condition, the error coins are in a league of their own, proving that rarity and uniqueness are the driving forces behind extreme valuations in numismatics. And there are even instances where multiple errors are present on the same coin, such as a combination of off-center strike and die cracks, where small fissures or lines appear radiating from the center or along the rim due to stress in the die, adding yet another layer of uniqueness that makes each coin effectively a singular creation. And some coins even display what is called a clipped planchet, where the metal blank was improperly cut, leaving a coin that is missing a portion of its circumference. A mistake that occurs in a tiny fraction of minted coins, but contributes heavily to the collectible value because it creates a visual oddity that is impossible to replicate in standard production. And these types of errors are meticulously documented in numismatic guides and auction catalogs, giving collectors the knowledge needed to identify genuine high-value specimens, because authenticity is everything when it comes to coins worth millions, and experts often use magnification, lighting, and die analysis to determine whether a coin's error is genuine or a post-mint alteration, as counterfeits or doctored coins are unfortunately common in the high-stakes world of rare coin collecting, and for the 1994D penny, the combination of rarity, the clarity of the error, high-grade condition, and collector demand culminates in a market value that can reach $8 million, a staggering sum that highlights how a minor minting flaw can create immense financial and historical significance. And this phenomenon is not only fascinating from a financial standpoint, but also from an educational and historical perspective, as it reveals the intricacies of coin production, the challenges faced by mints in maintaining precision, and the sheer unpredictability of which coins will become legendary over time. And collectors and investors alike watch the market closely for these rare finds because a single discovery can shift market perceptions, drive record auction prices, and inspire widespread excitement within the numismatic community. And the story of the 1994 D1 cent also underscores the role of chance in collecting, as these error coins often emerge from circulation or forgotten mint rolls rather than carefully curated batches, meaning that anyone could theoretically stumble upon a once-in-a-lifetime coin in a pocket change or loose collection, making the pursuit of rare coins both thrilling and accessible. And auctions for coins, like the 1994 D cent, are events of high drama, often drawing international attention, with bidders competing fiercely for the opportunity to own a piece of history, sometimes employing expert grading services to certify the coin before placing multi-million-dollar bids. And the excitement is amplified when multiple errors or exceptional features are present, such as full strike detail, pristine surfaces, and strong eye appeal, factors that seasoned collectors recognize as enhancing the coin's aesthetic and financial worth. And beyond the monetary value, owning a 1994 D error penny is a testament to the collector's dedication, knowledge, and ability to identify coins that are not only rare but also historically and artistically significant, because each coin tells a story about the minting process, the economic context of the time, and the meticulous craft behind every coin struck at the U.S. Mint. And enthusiasts often study die markers, planchet characteristics, and strike anomalies to distinguish between common circulation coins and those with error potential, turning the hobby into a detailed, investigative process that combines science, history, and a keen eye for detail. And the 1994 D1 cent, with its extraordinary $8 million value, stands as a prime example of how minute errors can ripple through the numismatic world, creating legends that inspire collectors, dealers, and investors alike to search for the next hidden gem, and whether it is an off-center strike, double die, die crack, clipped planchet, or some other rare anomaly, each feature contributes to the mystique and desirability of the coin, making it a pinnacle collectible that demonstrates the incredible intersection of chance, skill, and historical significance in the pursuit of numismatic excellence. And this makes the 1994 D penny not only a stunning financial asset but also a fascinating historical artifact, one that encapsulates the unpredictable nature of coin production, the intense scrutiny of collectors, and the potential for small mistakes to transform ordinary objects into priceless treasures. All while reminding us that in the world of coins, what appears to be a simple piece of metal can carry stories, errors, and fortunes beyond imagination, proving that even a 1-cent coin can be the center of global attention and a coveted prize worth millions in the hands of the right collector who appreciates both its rarity and its remarkable journey from the mint to the heights of numismatic fame. Next, 1984 COI, and thanks for joining us today as we dive into another incredible story from the world of rare coins, a place where tiny details, unexpected minting errors, and 1 in a billion mistakes can turn the most ordinary-looking pocket change into a jaw-dropping fortune. And today's spotlight is on the astonishing 1984 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors by reaching an unbelievable value of $18 million, a number that seems impossible for a coin minted in the billions but becomes completely understandable once you uncover the extraordinary combination of errors, defects, and minting anomalies that make this particular 1984 set one of the rarest and most desirable pieces ever discovered. And as we unravel the fascinating journey of this coin, you'll see how subtle details like strike misalignments, off-metal planchets, die deterioration, doubled features, and unexpected transitional possibilities can elevate a simple penny into the realm of legendary numismatic treasure. So settle in, and let's explore how a coin most people overlook every day became one of the most astonishing modern-era rarities in existence, starting with the fact that even though the 1984 penny was produced in enormous quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the vast majority were struck under routine conditions with no special varieties. Yet, as history has shown countless times, it only takes one coin with a perfect combination of errors to rewrite what collectors believe is possible. And in the case of the $18 million 1984 cent, that transformation begins with the extraordinary off-metal planchet error believed to be at the core of its value, because instead of being struck on its intended copper-plated zinc planchet, this ultra-rare specimen is suspected to have been struck on a leftover bronze planchet from earlier years, or possibly even on an experimental transition planchet that somehow made its way into the production line. And such an anomaly instantly skyrockets value because off-metal errors are the holy grail of modern coin mistakes, especially when they are confirmed to be genuine mint errors rather than post-mint alterations. And in the case of this coin, the diagnostic features reportedly match those seen on legitimate transitional errors from other years, such as the distinctive weight difference, the sound profile when struck, and the visible texture of the metal, all pointing toward an accidental use of the wrong alloy, which is astonishing considering that by 1984 the U.S. Mint had fully shifted to zinc cores, making any leftover bronze planchets not only extremely rare, but practically impossible. Yet, minting facilities are complex environments where old blanks can occasionally remain trapped in machinery bins or misfed into presses, and that alone provides the possibility for such a marvel to occur. But the fascination doesn't stop there, because this multi-million-dollar 1984 set also exhibits dramatic strike irregularities, including a noticeable misalignment that allowed collectors to detect slight outward distortions on the rim and devices, a telltale sign of the die not being perfectly centered during the strike. And on top of that, the coin reportedly displays a strong double die effect, particularly visible on the date, Liberty, and parts of the motto, which adds another layer of rarity because double dies are among the most sought-after errors, requiring a specific and uncommon die creation. mishap that affects every coin struck from that die, and the presence of even subtle doubling can multiply value enormously, especially when combined with other major errors, as is the case here. But what really pushes this 1984 penny into the multimillion-dollar range is the accumulation of multiple errors occurring simultaneously. Something so unlikely that even veteran collectors cannot recall another example from this specific year showing such an impossible mix. Because along with the off-metal strike and doubling, the coin is believed to display die deterioration lines, possibly a partial brockage, and rim cuts formed when pieces of the die edge broke off, creating raised lumps along the rim that further confirm severe die failure during production. And this combination supports the theory that the coin was produced at a moment of mechanical breakdown or transition, a scenario that produces some of the rarest and most collectible error coins in history. And when you combine an ultra-rare wrong planchet strike with a double die, misalignment, rim cuts, and other striking anomalies, you get a coin that transcends typical numismatic boundaries and ventures into the territory of once-in-a-generation finds. But rarity alone doesn't make a coin worth $18 million. It's the interplay between rarity, historical intrigue, collector demand, and the undeniable fact that such a coin may truly be unique, meaning no other 1984 cent in existence is known to share this exact combination of errors, making it not just a coin, but a singular artifact of minting history. And collectors are always willing to pay astronomical amounts when they believe a coin is one of a kind, especially if it is verified, authenticated, and graded by top-tier services capable of confirming the metal composition and error authenticity, and beyond the physical features. The mystique surrounding the coin's discovery has also contributed to its meteoric rise, because stories suggest it was found not in a hoard or a collection, but accidentally among ordinary change, emphasizing the thrilling possibility that extraordinary treasures still circulate unnoticed. And that sense of unpredictability fuels the entire hobby, reminding collectors and everyday people alike that the next legendary find could appear in any pocket, cash drawer, or forgotten jar. And that underlying excitement is what keeps rare coins, like this 1984 cent, at the center of numismatic conversation. But as we explore further the possibilities behind its creation, we find that minting processes in the mid-1980s left just enough room for rare anomalies to escape quality control, especially during heavy production cycles when presses ran at high speed and errors could slip through before being detected. And if an old bronze blank somehow entered a batch of zinc planchets, or if a faulty die remained in service too long, the resulting coin would be an unpredictable blend of mistakes waiting to be discovered years later. And that's exactly what makes the 1984 cent story so compelling, because it shows how a perfect storm of minting conditions can create something truly extraordinary. And even though countless 1984 pennies exist, only one is known to have this incredible mixture of traits, and that is why collectors have pursued it so aggressively, driving its value into territory normally reserved for the most iconic coins in U.S. history. But aside from collectors, what makes this coin so appealing to viewers and hobbyists is the reminder that incredible opportunities still exist in everyday life, and that a simple habit of checking your change can uncover treasures worth more than luxury homes, exotic cars, or entire investment portfolios. And when a small copper-colored disc from 1984 can reach an eye-popping value of $18 million, it renews enthusiasm for the hobby and encourages everyone watching to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that rare finds are still out there waiting to be discovered. Because the story of this coin and its unbelievable journey from an ordinary minting mishap to a multimillion-dollar marvel proves that the world of coins is full of wonder, unpredictability, and potential fortune, making the 1984 1 cent one of the greatest examples of how mint errors and extraordinary circumstances can transform something as humble as a penny into one of the most valuable modern coins ever known. And with that in mind, make sure you stay curious, keep exploring your change, and never underestimate the hidden value that might be sitting right in front of you, because the next life-changing discovery could be yours. Last 2001 D1 Cent USA coin. The exciting dive into the fascinating world of rare coins here on the Coins Explorer, where today we are uncovering one of the most intriguing and high-value pennies ever struck by the United States Mint, the 2001 D1 Cent, a coin that has captured the imaginations of collectors around the globe due to its unique errors and extraordinary value, which currently can reach up to $1 million under the right circumstances, making it a true holy grail for numismatists and coin investors alike. And today we will explore in meticulous detail why this penny is so valuable, what mistakes and errors it contains, and why owning one could be a life-changing acquisition. So stay tuned as we embark on this deep journey through minting mistakes, rarity factors, and the potential fortunes hidden in your change, starting with a little background on the 2001 D penny itself, which was struck in Denver, and is part of the Lincoln Cent series that has been in production since 1909, featuring the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield on the reverse. Yet despite being a seemingly ordinary coin at first glance, the 2001 D penny hides a series of anomalies that make it one of the most sought-after modern errors in the numismatic world. First and foremost, one of the primary issues with this coin is the double die error that appears on certain examples, where the design elements on the obverse, particularly Lincoln's hair, the lettering of Liberty, and the date 2001 show doubling that is noticeable to the naked eye in high-quality specimens, and this kind of error occurs during the die creation process at the mint when the master die impresses the hub more than once but is misaligned slightly, creating what collectors call a double die obverse, a phenomenon that can turn a standard circulation penny into a coin worth hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars depending on its condition. And this is compounded by the fact that very few coins with this exact error were ever released, making it an incredibly scarce find for collectors who monitor auction houses and numismatic forums closely. But the 2001 D penny does not stop there. It also exhibits what is known as a repunchment mark or RPM, particularly on the D of the Denver Mint, where careful inspection reveals that the mint mark was stamped more than once in slightly different positions, a mistake that often goes unnoticed by casual observers, but is a hallmark of high-value coins for serious collectors. The combination of a double die obverse and a repunched mint mark is exceedingly rare, and the intersection of these two errors on the same coin is what drives the 2001 D penny's astronomical price. Because rarity in numismatics is not just about age, but about how few coins exist with a particular error, and in this case, estimates suggest that only a handful of perfect examples exist, most of which are preserved in top grading companies' highest categories, making them virtually impossible to find in circulation. Another contributing factor to the coin's value is what experts refer to as die cracks and die breaks that appear in certain 2001 D pennies, where tiny fissures in the minting dies cause raised lines or unusual bumps on the coin's surface, giving it a unique character and making each error coin visually distinct. These imperfections are highly prized by collectors who seek one-of-a-kind specimens, and when combined with other anomalies such as off-center strikes, which sometimes occur when the coin blank is not properly aligned in the coin press, or weak strikes, which result in incomplete details of Lincoln's profile or the shield on the reverse, the 2001 D penny becomes a coin of incredible intrigue and value. It is also important to note that condition plays a critical role in determining the price of this coin, as a 2001 D penny with these errors in mint state condition, graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can command prices in the high six figures to over $1 million at auction, whereas coins with similar errors, but in circulated condition, while still valuable, are priced significantly lower. And this shows the importance of preservation and careful handling when it comes to rare error coins. In addition to the physical errors themselves, the story and market demand surrounding the 2001 penny also amplify its value, as collectors are constantly seeking the next iconic era coin to add to their collection, and this penny has gained legendary status among modern Lincoln cents because it represents a perfect storm of numismatic mistakes: the double die, the repunchment mark, die cracks, and the extremely limited number of surviving examples, all of which combine to create a coin that is not only a piece of currency, but a collectible work of art and a potential investment vehicle. The auction history of the 2001 penny is also fascinating, as over the past decade, several high-grade examples have surfaced in private sales and specialized numismatic auctions, fetching staggering sums that reflect the collector community's recognition of its rarity and desirability. This attention has created a feedback loop where awareness of the coin's existence and value drives demand even higher, and collectors now monitor every estate sale, coin show, and online auction for any potential appearance of this rare treasure. Furthermore, the possibilities for further errors on the same coin are endless, as numismatists continue to study subtle variations, including repunch dates, minor doubling of lettering beyond the obvious double die, die gouges, and other minting anomalies that were likely unintentional yet create significant value in the eyes of collectors. These variations make the 2001 penny not just a static collectible, but an evolving field of discovery where careful examination can reveal nuances that even seasoned collectors might miss. It's also fascinating how such a small coin, a mere 1-cent piece, can command such attention and high prices, demonstrating the principle that in numismatics, rarity, error, and story often outweigh face value, and that coins are valued as historical artifacts and examples of minting imperfections rather than merely as currency. For those who own one or are lucky enough to find one in circulation, the 2001 penny represents the ultimate combination of luck, knowledge, and vigilance, because spotting these errors requires not just casual observation, but the trained eye of a collector who understands what to look for: doubled letters, subtle misalignments, raised die lines, and unusual strikes that hint at an error. And once identified, authentication by a professional grading service is critical to confirm its provenance and ensure that it is indeed one of the scarce high-value examples that can fetch up to $1 million. Another layer of the coin's appeal lies in its story of modern minting, as the 2001 penny comes from a period where the U.S. Mint had refined processes, making errors increasingly rare, which contrasts sharply with older pennies where errors were more common due to less precise technology, and this rarity in a modern coin amplifies its collectability, creating a sense of urgency among collectors to acquire such examples before they disappear into private collections or reach astronomical auction prices. In conclusion, the 2001 1-cent penny is not just a coin, but a testament to the intriguing intersection of human error, modern minting, rarity, and collector demand, offering a unique opportunity for enthusiasts to own a piece of numismatic history that embodies both mystery and value. And whether it's the double die obverse, the repunchment mark, die cracks, off-center strikes, or the sheer scarcity of high-grade examples, this penny is a crown jewel for collectors, a tangible illustration of how small mistakes can create monumental opportunities, and an object of fascination for anyone passionate about coins, errors, and the potential fortunes hidden in seemingly ordinary currency. So if you're a collector, investor, or simply fascinated by rare coins, keep your eyes peeled, because discovering a 2001 penny with these extraordinary characteristics could very well be your ticket into the $1 million club of numismatic treasures.